Hey everyone, Nubkeks here. Welcome back to Heroes of the Storm. We're doing a bit of a different video today. As you can see, we are in try mode and we are playing none other than Artanis himself. I just got this skin actually. I really like this skin and I do like this color scheme. It's pretty cool. So we just killed Arthas. Great start to the video already. Go us. We're going to take a look at, we're going to be talking about him. We're going to be diving in depth into Artanis's talents and into the Artanis rework. If we pop out for a second and I turn my display capture on and I show you, I was looking at Illidan, in fact, we just open up Pots logs. Artanis is actually the #1 hero in the game right now in terms of win rate overall, including all the leagues in Hero League. He is arguably and apparently the best hero. So we are expecting some Artanis nerfs. This is all coming down to his rework. So we're going to talk about, well, we're going to do a couple of things in this video. We're going to talk about how a good talent build works, which will hopefully give you guys a really good insight into how to, pick talents that go well together and sort of the thought process that goes into choosing the right talent for the right situation. And we're also going to talk, and sort of the focus of the video will be on a few talents that I would like to see changed. We're going to try to keep them fairly simple suggestions. Ways that I would like to see Artanis change to bring a bit of a better balance, and how I think Blizzard should work the nerfs that will probably be coming to him in such a way that it still keeps the identity that he has now in terms of his playstyle, but then also opens up a few more talents and makes them a bit more viable and interesting in a couple of other builds. If we hop over to, I have his master level talent picks and talent win rate shown here. And I want to show you some kind of interesting things. Well, first of all, it's kind of important to note that Blizzard has kind of come out and said and acknowledged that in general the best number of talents to have per talent tier is actually 3. They've had 5 before. It doesn't work too well. They've had 4 and it's can be good, it can be bad. They found that in general the sweet spot for talents seems to be 3, because with 3 talents in each tier you give people kind of what feels like a very meaningful choice. You don't have so many choices that it's overwhelmed or that one talent just gets completely shoved to the side. It's easier to balance and keep a kind of consistent consistent level of power and choice, which is really good. One thing they've also started doing, and this is why I had Illidan up, is that they have started in more recent designs as well, doing sort of themes on each talent tier. So, for example, with Illidan, let's say at level 7 over here, right, we have Reflexive Block, so your dive, your Q ability gives you block. You've got Thirsting Blade, so when you hit someone with your W, you get more lifesteal. When you have Hunter's Onslaught, your basic abilities will start to heal you. So all of these are defensive options, and they do somewhat synergize with other talents, but not to so great a deal that you can't kind of mix it up. So you can kind of mix it up to fit into the particular game. Okay, do they have a lot of hard-hitting basic attackers, like maybe a Butch or something like that? All right, Reflexive Block is going to be a good go-to. Am I kind of focusing more on my basic attacks here? Alright, well then Thirsting Blade could be a good option, and that can synergize well with some other talents. There's got a bit of synergies there. Or then Hunter's Onslaught is a really good choice if, I'm just going to focus more on my abilities for healing me up, if I want to maybe jungle a bit better or something like that. And that obviously has some synergies with Mark for Death, for example. But as you can see, over here, I think this is a really good example of a talent tier. They're relatively similar in terms of win rates. They're also relatively similar in terms of picks, right? It's nearly, each one is nearly chosen as much as the other. It's a really, really, really good talent tier design. You can see the same thing over at level 13. This is another defensive talent tier for Illidan. You get armor when you hit people with your W, you get evasion more, or you can, get spell armor. So you got the option, Nimble Defender, just kind of good defense all around. Elusive Strike, okay, we've got really good defense against basic attackers, or Sixth Sense, we've got really good defense against spellcasters. And you can see each one, again, picked fairly often, each one fairly similar win rate. Really nice talent design, I really do like that. Artanis, not so elegant in terms of his talent design, and I want to point out a few ways in which it's kind of gone wrong. If we jump over here, we can see level 1 is actually pretty good, right? Relatively similar win rates, and also relatively similar pick percentages. Now there's one talent here that I don't like for kind of just stylistic reasons, if you will, sort of design elegance, which I'll come back to. You can see some of his other talent tiers aren't so pretty. I think level 4 is kind of interesting. Okay, we've got the 3 choices and they're all defensive choices. In fact, let me show it to you in game. So you got Psionic Synergy, so you get more shield cooldown reduction, so your shield comes up more often. Pretty nice. You got shield battery. The cooldown goes a bit faster. The shield lasts a bit longer. Not tied into your Q. It's just a passive. Okay, cool. Or then shield surge. Your shield is much stronger while below 25% health. All right, nice. We got all these defensive talents. Now you can see that shield surge is by far the most popular. But if you look at the win rates, they're actually all pretty similar. So I don't think it's actually that big of an issue. I think, interestingly, I think they're all actually, ironically, really bad talents. I think that's actually part of it. They all actually suck, which is hilarious. So Shield Surge only does something when you're below 25% health. And, you know, 80% more shields. The shields are actually not that strong. I mean, we're talking level 21. Actually, let's, for clarity's sake, set our level to 20. So late game, level 20. We normally have 5,000 HP. The shield is going to give us, you know, 800. So we get an extra, with this, we get an extra... 800 mats, you know, like 640 or something like that. You get an extra 640, which is maybe one basic attack, like empowered basic attack from a Rainer, or, you know, maybe one spell or something. It's not a huge deal, you know. It's actually kind of shitty when you think about it. Sonic Synergy then, you know, refreshing your cooldowns with your Q, that used to be really good. One of the big issues now is that, of course, you're doing the Q-E combo. So you're not actually using your Q to hit heroes that often because you're trying to get picks with Q and E. So often this talent doesn't do anything either. I think shield battery is really shitty, right? Your shield recharges faster when it's active and lasts one more second. However, the shield is crap, so the shield's always gone really quick. The extra second probably not going to do much because the shield's just going to be gone. And then the cooldown reduction not going to do much either because it's going to be gone. But the reason that this really bad talent is actually doing pretty well is that simply... in most cases, your other two talents aren't doing anything anyway. It's kind of one of those funny things, right? Where all the talents on level 4 are actually quite bad when you think about it. I find that quite interesting. But anyway, if we look at level 7, we see a bit of a problem here. We've got two talents that are almost never picked. Indeed, Chrono Surge has got a terrible win rate. I think it sucks. I've said it sucks for a while. I know people like it. Why is it bad? Hitting an enemy hero with Phase Prism grants 50% attack speed. Well, just a simple reason is that when you swap with an enemy hero... if it's max range, you're pretty far away from them, so it could take you like a second or two to run over to them, or perhaps you're just going to get CC'd, and especially if, oh, hello, leashed, if you do, you know, your QE combo, let's actually do it in a straight line, you're going to do a really long flip, you're going to be in the middle of the enemy team, they're going to be all the way over here, the target you want to focus is nowhere near you, so that attack speed often doesn't do anything, so you won't actually be close to anyone to actually attack, one of the funny things, so it doesn't actually synergize well with how Artanis is played nowadays. Level 13, though, has the worst offender. Templar Zeal. Master's level, we don't even have a win percentage. It's picked that little. Target Purified, similarly, also picked very little. With Templar Zeal, it's just not picked. If we look at Artanis for all the levels, you can see, you know, just at a quick glance, okay, relatively similar pick rates, relatively similar win rates in terms of just the graphs. They look pretty similar. There's no massive changes, small changes, but nothing massive. See here, Templar Zeal is picked a little bit more often, but still almost never, and its win rate is really shitty. Same with Phase Bulwark, its win rate is also shitty. So we got a bit of a problem here on these talent tiers. Let's talk about Templar Zeal though real quick. Why is this so bad? Blade, and this is I think a really bad part of his rework. They really dropped the ball on this one. I will suggest some changes here. Blade Dash's cooldown recharges 100% faster while below 50% health. In order to understand why this is good, or where this came from, we're going to jump to the old Artanis build. Good old Heroes Nexus, not updated anymore, so it actually lets me do this really easily. The old Artanis was much tankier than the new Artanis. One of the big parts of that was that his shield was, number one, more powerful, but it only activated below 50% health. But one thing that did work was that you had this talent build that was there, which made the shield really powerful. Templar Zeal used to be here at level 4. This was the first step to this. So while you're below 50% health, Blade Dash recharges 100% faster. One of the big combos with this then was Psionic Synergy. When you Blade Dash through an enemy hero, reduces the cooldown of your shield by 4 seconds. So you see the synergy there, right? You have very powerful shields below 50% health. Your Q is going to refresh the shields really quickly, and then while you're at the health threshold to start getting those shields activating, your Q is refreshing quicker. So you've got Q cooldowns happening faster, and the Q is reducing the cooldown of our shield, which is supercharged, And then the health also lines up. Really nice synergies there. You could also, at level 13, grab Phase Bulwark. So you have 50 spell armor as it is today. Or, well, it's been nerfed in the current patch, so only 40 spell armor. Or you could get Shield Surge then at level 16 as well, increasing the shields by 100%, but they decay over 3 seconds. So you could build up, you can see each talent here, they could work really well together. You could make this super synergized talent build between these 4 talents, and how it used to work before. On the live servers, though, we still have Templar Zeal. We still have this talent, which is still the same. You still refresh your Q 100% faster below 50% health. But now your shields activate at 75% health, and your shields are much weaker. Additionally, you can no longer combo it with other talents like you could before. Right? Like you could before. Oops, wrong button. Okay, we got Templar Zeal. Oh shit, look, Phase Bulwark giving us the spell armor whenever our shield activates. That's on the same talent here. We can't get that anymore. Psionic Synergy, which it basically they reworked half of it into the baseline, which is why it's kind of weaker now. So first of all, it's a weaker talent than it used to be. For like I said, these are all kind of bad. But then the talent that makes your shield better, the talents that make your shield better are on the same talent here as the Q talent. So once again, you can't actually work this to make your shields better. So what is this actually doing? And also bear in mind, very important now, is that you've got the QE combo, which is a huge deal. Q into E. And one of the big things you can do is, of course, grab Graviton Vortex at level 13 instead. And what this does really nice, 6 seconds cooldown off your E. You've got 10-second cooldown on Q, 10-second cooldown on E with this talent. Well, that's a really good synergy because this QE combo suddenly becomes super worthwhile, right? Becomes super worthwhile and really easy to do. So this talent, Templar Zeal, doesn't actually fit with the new Artanis design at all. It doesn't fit. It doesn't work. It doesn't make any sense. It's crazy. It doesn't fit. What can we do to change this? How can we make this Q build a bit more appealing? I think there's a very simple change you could make. Is right, just remove Templar Zeal, replace it with something very simple, like every time you land a basic attack on a hero, you reduce the cooldown of your Q by half a second. That's a good start. I think that's a good start. Very simple. Every time we land a basic attack on a hero, reduce the cooldown of Q by half a second. We don't want to make this, you know, it recharges when the shield is active at 75% health. That's just a bit weird, honestly. I think something simple like every base attack, half second cooldown off your Q, means you're going to get Q off more often, and it makes this Solarite Reaper, which is improving the damage of your Blade Dash, a bit more appealing. Makes it a bit more appealing. So that's something I would definitely change. This over here. This makes the other Q talents much more... It just makes this Q build better, right? Because if you're getting, just by doing your basic attacks, it adds a whole bunch of synergies that work really well. For example, we've got Zealot Charge here at level 16, right? Increase the charge distance of Twin Blades, so you get basic attacks off more often. Well, hey, if we get basic attacks off more often, that means we're going to be in range more often, we're going to land more Twin Blades, and therefore, if we're going to get cooldown reduction per hit for our Q, we're going to get this very much more guaranteed cooldown reduction, which means much more Qs. And that means more damage from Solarite Reaper, and that means more shield cooldown reduction. It's not, you know, overwhelmingly strong, but it's a nice little synergy there that kind of makes things appealing. Whereas at the moment, this 13 thing, there's no synergies worthwhile to talk about. What else could we change? What could we do to make things a bit better? What other talents could we ditch? I'm actually going to go a bit radical here. I'm going to say we should just cut Chrono Surge, because it doesn't fit with the new QE combo. It doesn't fit with how Artanis is played anymore. So get rid of it, and this can be a nice 3-talent tier, basically. You've got Warp Sickness for some utility, and kind of get more damage through slowing people. You've got Solarite Reaper, so your Q does more damage. One thing I might actually like to see here, and then follow through is just good with Artanis. It's a good fun ability because you got such short cooldowns. I like it. You could actually make Solarite Reaper, you know, a bit of a quest. Like maybe hit 20 heroes, gain 5% damage, 5% damage per hit, so up to 100% bonus damage. And then when you finish the quest, it makes your Q 30% faster. So number one, it makes your QE combo a bit more lethal, and then it also gives you more impetus to be using it during a team fight for damage and for shield refreshing, because it's faster, it goes out faster. You're wasting less time, it's easier to hit heroes and get that damage off. And then it also gives you more impetus again to pick up a talent that gives you cooldown reduction. Because, like, sure, we get off a nice quick QE combo, then the cooldown reduction we can make use of this more powerful Q as well during the team fight, because we get multiple Qs off and still have Q back up by the time. Maybe get one Q off additional and then have Q back off cooldown to do another QE combo. That's a pretty nice thing. So we get a bit more damage at the cost of, you know, giving up Graviton Vortex and giving up Warp Sickness. So you have this option of having a very powerful E build for the big QE combo, or you can have like a more Q focus build for a bit more wave clear, a bit more damage in general, but you don't have bring as much utility. Kind of interesting choices there. You see where I'm coming from? I think level 4 is fine. I think, again, level 7, ditch Chrono Surge and just have these three, and I think they're fairly well balanced. You could make follow through maybe specific to Artanis. It's not a huge deal. Maybe make Solarite Reaper some sort of quest to make it a bit more interesting, but it's fine as well as it is. At level 13, Templar Zeal, change it to just basic attacks, refresh your Q. So your Q build's going to do more, and I think just get rid of Phase Bulwark at this stage. I think it's too many talents. It's performing badly. I don't think it fits with Artanis that well anymore. I think, you know, just get rid of it. Gave up Overwatch. I have given up Overwatch for the time being. I'd also at level 16 then give up Plasma Burn, just for the sake of simplicity. Then we have this 3 W talents, and they all do a pretty cool thing. Titan Killer for more damage from Artanis himself, Zealot Charge for more mobility and consistent damage, or Psionic Wound for more damage from your team, from your teammates in the team fight. I think that's a nice 3 choices. I don't see Plasma Burn really fitting in as an interesting choice. And when we come over here, you see the same sort of thing, you know, Plasma Burn is just not taken very often. People just don't find it that interesting or that exciting. It's a passive. It's quite boring, really. You just, you know, you do some damage while your shield is active, but you got no control over it. It's boring. Whereas you have to think about all of these a little bit, or they each change your playstyle. This just happens. It's kind of a shit talent. I don't really know why they added it. I think it just sucks. So I think get rid of it. And get rid of Phase Bulwark as well. So simple, 3 talents on each tier. And then level 1 as well. This one might outrage people a little bit, but I think, you know, we need to nerf Artanis a bit. So one thing we could do is remove some damage from his, remove some basic attack damage, maybe remove a little bit of health. You can make his shield maybe a small bit better. So kind of bring back the shield fantasy a little bit. And you could even pump more damage into his Q. So make the, if you make the more of his damage go into his Q than his basic attacks, what does that do? Well, it punishes Artanis for using the QE combo, and it rewards Artanis a bit more in terms of his wave clear from using Q or from using Q during the team fight. So that's just a nice little way to kind of tone Artanis back a bit, because he is so dominant at the moment thanks to the QE combo. It kind of goes, okay, the QE combo is really powerful, but the trade-off is that, well, let's put the cooldown. The trade-off is if you do use Q to combo with E, you're going to have Q on cooldown for a long time, and that's going to be a big source of your damage, so you're giving up a lot of damage to have this big utility. I think that could be a nice thing to do. I would like to see Seasoned Marksman removed as well. I'd like to see this removed. Why? Because he's not a marksman. He doesn't have a gun. He's not shooting anything. It's stupid. He's not a marksman. Look, he's got a crosshairs. He's not a marksman. I suppose Purifier Beam is kind of a marksman-y type thing, but I mean that doesn't count. That's optional. It's just, that's just a really bad choice. You don't have a gun. You got laser sword wristblade things. It's stupid. It's stupid. I think you probably, I would actually personally just remove this entirely, and I would replace it with another W talent, so that you've got a twin, you know, 3 Twin Blades talents at level 1. I just think in terms of design, elegance, it's nice, it's elegant, it's simple, it's clear. What would it do? I think actually a good option would be, you know, your W, when you hit a hero with that, it gives you something like 10%, 15% move speed for a couple of seconds. Something like that. So it just gives Artanis a bit more stickiness. And then you got the choice between, okay, I've got block if I use my W, or I can have my W do more damage to non-heroes, or I can have my W give me a bit of move speed. So 3 very different utilities. You could see yourself picking each different one. Again, I feel like the talent here, to be fair, it's pretty well balanced at the moment. Very obviously, it works very well. But I think, you know, I don't know, I just don't like Seasoned Marksman in terms of the design, in terms of the hero fantasy. So yeah, that's a little bit of bias for me, but that's what I would change. Maybe a move speed thing at level 1. So have 3 W talents at level 1. Okay, we got the defensive talents then at level 4. Level 7, kind of focused on damage, but I would actually ditch Chrono Surge. So you got, you know, consistent damage from your Q, maybe make that a quest, or then Warp Sickness, so a bit of an E build coming in, a little bit different. I think the heroics are really good. Level 13, I just ditch Phase Bulwark and make this just a pure damage tier, with a little bit of utility. Again, like kind of the E is in a way a damage ability because of what it does leads to damage, whereas this is pure defensive. So I think just ditch Face Bulwark. It's not getting picked often and it does pretty badly. And then there's 4 things here. That's the obvious one to ditch. So you've got my new design Templar Zeal, so your basic attacks half a second off your Q, so you're getting Q off much more often during team fights, so you can use your Q for damage more. And like I said, change his base stats so that the Q damage is a bigger share of his damage output. Then you got Twin Blades, so more damage from that. Then Graviton Vortex, you know, you're pulling people more often, and therefore your team is doing more damage. Then level 16, I think also ditch Plasma Burn because it's boring. And then you've got 3 W talents here, each one kind of doing damage in a different way through consistency, through just more damage, or then through applying vulnerability for your teammates. And I think that makes for a pretty happy Artanis. I don't know. Let me know what you thought of this video. I might have got a bit too nerdy, a bit too into it. But they're just my thoughts on what we can do to fix him. He obviously needs to be nerfed. I think turning down the knobs on his basic attack damage, turning down the knobs on his max health a little bit, and his health regen, they're pretty easy things to turn. And then I think these changes to his talents makes the talents a little bit better. It opens up a few more different builds, and I think shifting some power into the Q does lead to interesting gameplay decisions of, do we use the Q to combo, or do we use the Q for some damage? Do we sacrifice the damage for utility? I like the thoughts that are in that. Personally, I think it makes it pretty cool. Let me know what you think. Different type of video. This actually went much longer than I thought. Sorry for nerding out so much. I hope you enjoyed it anyway. And yeah, let me know if it was insightful or how you would like to see this. If you would like to see more videos of this kind in the future. Do you like the sort of theory crafting stuff? Do you like the sort of nerding out stuff? Or would you prefer to see something, you know, something different, or this video in a shorter format, or maybe more visual aids or something? I don't know. Let me know. Thanks for watching though, everyone. I had some fun. I've been nerding out about this for a little while because I've been having a lot of fun with Artanis rework. So there you go, guys. That's my thoughts. Nubkeks for game designer. Let's make it happen. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.